I'm going to ask all of our Haiti team to come that's with us. We just spent 8 days in a third world country. And the reason I always talk about Haiti and how great it is to go to Haiti is because you can go and see the 19th poorest country in the world, and it only takes 3.5 hours to get there by plane. So we're going to share, and while I was standing here playing music earlier, it was great because I look out and I see the people that were with us, and as we're singing and worshiping, you can kind of see on these people's faces the emotion that's still raw. So today we're going to talk and we're going to share, and we're probably going to cry, some of us. And I just want you guys to know that everything that we talk about this morning is thanks to all of you. All of you that gave, that weren't able to go with us, all of you that gave of your time and your money to be able to send us to do this. And one of the things that we talked about every night while we were in devotion, we did a devotion every night, one of the things that I talked about and I impressed upon all of us is that everything that was happening in Haiti can happen here. Everything that we were doing there that can happen here. And some of you will say, well, why did you have to go to Haiti? You can do all of that here, and you're right. But have you ever seen some child that's really disobedient? This is what God gave me while I was sitting over there this morning. I had to go get a pen. Have you ever seen a child that's really disobedient? And this is harsh. Really disobedient, and their parents have to send them to like a scared straight place, and they've realized that they've done it all wrong, and they scare them into doing it all right? Like when you go to Haiti, you realize that the way you've been living is wrong. Sure, we didn't have to go to Haiti to get that. We could have just lived the right way, right? It's really simple. Just live the right way. Do everything right. Live for God. Give your heart. Give your time. You can figure that all out here. But sometimes it takes a little more. Sometimes it takes a little more to get us to the place where we can realize that. And Haiti was a good place for most of us on this team to realize that we got to do something different. So the hopes are as we come back that we can share all of that with you. That what happened in our hearts and in our lives while we were there, that it's infectious. And we can share it with you. So Sunday was a great day. Great day. What time did we get here?
I don't know.
3 o'clock in the morning. Here's what's even better. I get here and I'm putting something into my backpack and I pull a muscle in my back. And when I say I pull a muscle in my back, I mean I walked into the fellowship hall and I laid on the table and I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to stand up straight. It's a fun day going through airports and getting on a plane. It was great, but the Lord was with us. Let's see what we got on Sunday. So this is flying into Haiti. And you can just kind of see some of the chaos that's there, maybe if you look closely. This is our team at the airport as we're first getting into Haiti. This guy in the back had been walking with us, and he had carried our bags. He was not one of our translators or part of HOM, so he was carrying our bags hoping that we would give him some money for the help that he gave us. You guys feel free to jump in anytime. This is just kind of driving through town. You can see the garbage on the side of the road. This is some of our first experience with Haiti. As you're riding from the airport and you're just starting to see this and you feel the heat. This was as we're leaving the airport. These are just some other tap-taps. I don't remember who took this picture, but this is the tap-tap in front of us.
All right, this bears explaining. What we've noted, we're in this situation, all of us, because we've known each other for a while.
Turn his gain down, Jaden. Turn him down.
We're in this situation where we're all learning new things about each other, and we're all vulnerable. I learned stuff about Dave. I learned stuff about the Eppersons. What we learned about Gabe here is that he just eats all the time. He's just constantly eating, and it's not that we necessarily were hunting down opportunities to watch him eat as much as we just, every time we pulled up the camera, there he was, stuffing it. So there are going to be pictures throughout this just to show you how that he was taken care of. Where's your wife? He's fed the whole time.
Gabe worked very hard.
He did.
So he needed.
He had to carb up every 5 minutes just to keep up with himself.
One of the things that I asked everyone on the team to do was every night after we got done working, I asked the people on the team to record just a short video of what they had seen that day, how they were affected that day. And you're going to see some of those here in a moment. It might be what's next. I'm just trying to set that up. And what you're going to see is just really raw emotions. So one of the reasons I asked them to do this is because today, we're a week out, right? We left Haiti a week ago. And some of those emotions aren't as raw as they were then. So what you're going to see here in a few minutes is some people's really raw emotions, kind of like a diary of the day. This is just kind of driving through the streets. You can see the motorcycles on the left. Not only do people ride on the tap-taps that were in the back of these trucks, but you'll also can get a ride on a motorcycle. It's a little bit more expensive to get a ride on a motorcycle because motorcycles don't stop. They just go around everybody and they don't care. So it's a little bit easier to get through traffic. So it costs a little bit more to be on a motorcycle.
The thing that struck me the most about the first day being here and seeing Haiti in everything that I've heard of it is really the love and the joy that was expressed with the people who are down here and who have met some of the people on our mission in the past, and the joy and the love and the overwhelming happiness that they had when they saw them come out of the airport, and then we met up with them to get us over to our hotel, and just the catching up that's done, even though they've only spent 1 week out of one time of their life with these individuals. It's just an outstanding experience to witness, to see happen, and really want to be a part of that, and kind of helps me center around what I want to get out of this week.
So Gabe, the first thing, your video was about the impact that the people had around you, the joy that they had, the way they lived their life, that impacted you enough to make that was your first devotion, your first diary entry?
Yeah, that was my first one. It's right off the plane, getting through the bustle of landing in a third world country, and the part of customs that we don't experience here, being in the States and in a third world country where people are just trying to survive, and we get out through throngs of people wanting to take us on a ride or whatever, and we run into the translators, and the first thing you see, this smile on the translator's face, and they basically run up and they hug Adam and James, and a lot of the people that they, like I said, spent one time out of their life, a week, with these translators, and they remembered their names, they remembered their faces, and they could recap or just get back together in a blink of an eye. Shows how compassionate they are for what we were doing and what the missions are doing down there in Haiti.
And when I think about that, we have mentioned before, when you get off the plane, what happens is you're going to be inundated with people who are trying to carry your luggage for you, and it's all smiles. If you've ever been to Mexico, you know that when you are at the border, they'll throw water on your windshield and start scrubbing with the hopes that you will feel inclined to give them a tip, give them some money. So the same thing happens when you get off the plane. We're just covered with people that are trying to make a buck. And I think, we think about that here. When someone tries to deceive you for $1, it instills this frustration, this anger, this aggravation with the person that's trying to deceive you and get a quick buck off of you. Well, you go to Haiti, and you really have the attitude that we should have all the time, which is, these people are broken. They're in need. People aren't doing things to you. They're just doing things. And I think that hits you as soon as you get off the plane. These people, they're not manipulating for the sake of hurting you. They're manipulating to feed themselves.
I think we've got one more video.
Coming on the plane, you kind of look down and you can see all the garbage that people try to prepare you for, and you're not really prepared for it. You drive through the little town before you get to Bellefeuille, and you see smiling faces. I've heard that today and never really noticed it until somebody kind of pointed it out. Just people are happy, but all that stuff that you see on the ground around it's heartbreaking. It's a little life-changing just for today. I can't wait for what tomorrow brings. Thank you all for the journey, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
Can you kind of share? Can you say that again? What?
She loves you right now. So look, so what Lisa was talking about. You mean about he's making you talk?
That's fine. When you do get off the plane, you are hit with just a lot of people, and you don't know what to do, and it's you're kind of told, don't let nobody touch your bags.
You didn't either, did you?
No. I kind of yelled at somebody. Somebody was trying to take Tony's bags. I didn't know that he was with the translators, and I'm like, no, 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 no. And Tony turned around and looked at me and said, it's okay. I'm like, no, it's not.
They're with us.
But, you know, it's kind of hard to try to keep up with Serena being ahead of you or behind you, and it was a little overwhelming for me to know exactly where she is. And when you see the updates on the emails of different things, that there's kidnappings and other things like that, and that just hits you really hard as a mom. And of course I'm screaming for her all the time, and when we're riding on the tap-tap, it's the trash that's everywhere. It's burning on the sides of the streets. And you do look down the streets and you do see people with smiling faces. They're happy. You have some people that wave. But overall, it was just whatever. Adam will sit there and try to prepare you for it. Anybody, you can go online and look at videos. Nothing will ever prepare you for what you see when you drive through the town. I'm done.
Lisa was talking about some of the emails, updates that you'll get. One of the things that you need to realize is the whole time that we were there, the U.S. government had us on a level 4, which means do not travel. So the U.S. government was advising us not to go to Haiti the whole time that we were there. It's still like that now just because of all the unrest. We went, we're back, we're okay. So that's pretty much Sunday.
For the most part. We can touch on the trash here for a second. I mean, it is the last 2 years, the last 2 reports we've had where we've done this, where people who have come back from Haiti sit on the stage and talk about the trash. Let me explain, because you get off the plane and you do see the trash. You eventually go to like maybe the more rural or more suburban areas of where we're at, and there are trash piles. I mean, as tall as me. There's a reason that you guys don't see pictures of that when we come back, and the reason is every time we're marveling at how awful something is, we're next to someone that we've learned to love over the week. It's really hard to pull your phone out and say, wow, that's disgusting, when you're sitting next to someone who has served and served and served with you all week long. And couldn't understand, the last couple of years why, okay, the trash is bad, well, show me, show me something that's going to speak to me. You just can't do it. You're right next to someone's home. This is someone's nation.
What was it you said to me in the tap that day? Something about it's like you said something about a movie, and I said, well, that's where we're at, right? I can't remember what it said.
Mad Max?
Yeah. All right, let's see. That's Sunday. Sunday was a long day, long travel day. So we'll go into Monday. That's what that says. So this is the morning before we left out. This is rec. So in the mornings we did VBS at a place called Repatriate. It's an amazing time. We had about 200 kids there, I think, is what we ended up, the final tally for the week. And so here's just some of the rec that they were doing in VBS. There was 5 groups at VBS. There was rec, memory verse, Bible story, music,
Crafts.
And crafts. So this is a little bit of rec that morning. What game are they playing here, Daniel? This is you.
Hula hoop relay.
Hula hoop relay they really liked that game. You see them just kind of lined up. Somebody took this picture from up above where you can see it really clearly.
Can you do the can? Yes, I think that I can.
Woo! That's why he had to eat so much. So, burning all that extra energy.
These are just some smiling faces. They love to have their picture taken, which is...
And I think, the VBS, I mean, is there anyone in this group where VBS wasn't the highlight of almost the whole week? I mean, if it wasn't about the relationships that you formed with the interpreters, it was the children, right? And every single one of you, I feel like, had 1, 3, 25 children on you at any given moment. Do you guys want to talk about the children? Dave, you want to talk about the children real quick? Of course he does. Everyone give it up for Dave.
Okay, I got to tell the whole story, right?
Tell the whole thing.
All right, so
Go for it.
Not too many people know. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. So first day at VBS was really hard. You get 200 kids. I'm doing music, and I love music, so I didn't have any. I was very comfortable getting up there and leading music with the kids. But they want to touch you, don't they? They want to touch you. And for me, especially after all the stories we'd heard about parasites and diseases you can pick up and all the things that you're going to have to deal with that ratcheted up. And, I told everybody in devotion on Monday night, I said, I've got to get past this. I don't know what it's going to take, but I've got to get past it. So these kids, they are so excited that we came from what they perceive as heaven, right? We came from the United States. They see that as a heavenly nation, and we've left heaven and come to them, and they're so thankful for that. And they're literally all over us. I'm thinking about who was with me in music, but Jen was with me most of the week in music, but I saw you once in music. Gabe's up there kind of helping lead, and Serena is in a pile. You can kind of see Serena because she's got a pile of kids on top of her. That's how much they wanted to be around us and love on us. And so by the end of the week, and you guys can attest to this, I didn't have any problem anymore, did I? Right. I had piles of kids all over me the rest of the week, but you had to get past that. Probably the best for me was the day with the kids was the day at the girls' home.
We've got some videos of that here in a minute, too. Let's keep rolling. Let's see. These are just some kids. There he is.
I'm just saying, he eats a lot.
Because he was doing this.
That's right. So we can kind of talk about VBS a little bit. I was under the impression that when we showed up, there would be instructions. It was a God thing. There were no instructions. I showed up. They said, "Hey, you're at rec." I went out to rec. Someone said, "Do you see that guy right there? His name is Jimmy." Jimmy. And what's funny is Jimmy. I was trying to figure out if his real name is Jimmy, or they just give him an American name so I can pronounce it. His name is spelled DJ. His name is Jimmy. And I felt really stupid for asking. I was like, "What's your name?" "Jimmy." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but what's your name?" "Jimmy." "All right, look, hey, it's just you and me. What's your name?" "Jimmy." So I point and say, "Hey, that's Jimmy. That's your interpreter." He comes up to me and goes, "So, what are we doing?" "I don't know." Thankfully, I've got a backlog of games and experience in doing children's ministry. So right away from the beginning, I think we all realize what we're going to try to do is create games, create activities, create something that we can leave. So we showed up with that first day a couple hula hoops, a ball. I think the second day, I don't know what we had, a couple balls. So we try to leave them with those hula hoops and leave them with a simple game that you can entertain 30 kids at a time. So we're actually leaving some of our ministry experience behind. That was very cool. Very cool to be able to do that.
This is at the construction site. So every morning after we got done, we'd have lunch together at Repatriate. And then most days during the week, we headed out to a construction site where we were building a home for a couple. And the man that you see standing there in the middle next to Daniel and behind Scotty, that's the actual homeowner. His wife was there. They were both helping so much every single day. It was amazing. This is us taking a break because Oh, Daniel's doing a magic trick. You want to show him the magic trick?
I do not. I pulled out a quarter. I did a trick for one child, and then when I looked back up, there was 30. I was like, oh, you guys know magic.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's hot in Haiti, so we took lots of breaks. This is back in memory verse. No, this is me teaching. That's
This
me
is the
up there, I
lesson.
guess.
Yeah.
That's me teaching in Haiti. That's our translator, Robertson. Robertson's great. If you guys ever get to go with us to Haiti, you'll meet Robertson. You should go with us to Haiti. And Robertson will lead these kids in this Bible story. Even if you have no idea and you're just really quiet and just kind of get through the story, he's going to bring it to life. Because that's just kind of who Robertson is.
So, Tony, you're kind of perfect for this because I don't think before that day you'd ever done a lesson for a group of kids, especially, a Bible lesson. What was it like doing it with Robinson?
It was pretty amazing. I'd say 3 words and he'd take, say, 20.
Yeah.
He had me amazed by just going around and just falling on the ground and just bringing it all to life on the story of David. And that was amazing because the kids were, well, they was attentive anyway. Then they was just watching every move I made. But then when it kind of relieved me because Robertson was ad-libbing it to the extreme. And, of course, he done knew everything that was to know about the Bible. So he was actually helping me out, more or less. He done everything. But he's an amazing person, and they all are.
It was really fun watching because we would partner up. So whoever's going to teach the next day would be the teaching assistant for that day. So I was his teaching assistant, and he's got this lesson that he's prepared, and he would lean over and look at his phone and go, David went and talked to God. David went and talked to God. And Robert said, come again? David went and talked to God. Oh, okay. And he would just start waving his arms and fall on the ground and roll over like he was on fire. And he would run out of material, go back to Tony, and Tony said, and God said.
I think kind of to piggyback on that, one of the great things, like when they're translating for you that you could never understand is sometimes you would say 2 words and they would speak for 2 minutes. And then sometimes you would say like 50 words and they would say 2 words and look at you like, okay, what's next? And it never made any sense. This is actually the day that Tony got his new name. So when you're introducing yourself in Creole, the way that you say it is Moirele, and then you say your name. So Tony's trying to learn, and Robertson's trying to walk him through saying Moirele, and he said, Moirele Tony. And I was like, that's the one word you should have got right. That's your name.
He's getting mixed at Pig Latin,
Yeah.
Moirele Tony.
So the rest of the week, he was Tony. He wasn't Tony. You can call him that. I'm sure he'll love it. Let's see what's next. So last year we went, and we got to build 2 houses. We got to build a house in Repatriate, and it was kind of closer to the ocean. And then we also built a house in a city called City Soleil. And for the people that went the first time this year, this is really hard to fathom. So we're in Repatriate, and what you're looking at behind this girl, there's like a spillway, for lack of a better words, and that brick wall kind of, you can't see the spillway, it's in front of that. And then everything that you see behind that is the dump. I mean, that's the dump. That's where people who actually take their trash somewhere and don't just leave it on the ground, that's the dump. And people build their houses on this. So you look up, and there are mounds and mounds and mounds of just trash. And people have built their houses there. Some of the people that you've seen their houses, it's just sticks held up, and there's curtains or whatever they've been able to find in the dump to kind of block it all off. But that's what
Plastic sheeting.
Plastic sheeting, and this is what we were working next to, and it's staggering. It's humbling to see this and just to see that people are living there. Just some mountains, and just the beauty of Haiti. This is the house. This is how it was the first day that we got there. They were still putting the bricks up, and I don't know if you guys got to see the live video while we're there, but where you can see the bottom of that little wall, that's the doorway. And our job was to fill all of that bottom of that building in with rock. So it was probably, what, 3 feet deep? About 3 feet deep. So we get to use buckets and shovels and move rock to fill up the base of that house, which is, it's fun. It's fun. And these are the people that were helping Lisa on Monday in crafts, all the monitors, they call them, and some of the translators. This is just another picture of the dump. You can see there the sheeting and whatever that is.
Yeah, I will say, if you look to the right of that structure there, you kind of see the plastic sheet up. Nod at me if you can see that. That sheeting, the tarps, the plastic sheeting, I mean, there are maybe half a mile of structures just like that. And it's literally just a place to get out of the sun or to lay your head at night. That's all it is.
And you can see really clearly in this picture, too, the spillway that I was talking about there. When it rains, it floods. And some of the problem is all the trash that's in the spillway will get caught up as it flows down and gets to a smaller spot, and all that backs up. More wrecked pictures. This is a picture looking out from the top of Repatriate. You can see some words on the top of that building about Jesus, and you can see the mountains in the background. Here's Tony and Serena playing some basketball. This is just kind of the ride in the back of the Tap Tap looking out back. It's a Robertson on the right there, I believe.
I think it's worth stopping to talk about these Tap Taps because, I mean, the Tap Taps were a very big part of the experience. It is like being on a broken roller coaster. It really is. Does anyone want to share what it's like to be in a Tap Tap for 15 minutes? The exhaustion that you can feel sitting down in one of these. Tony, you're a drag racer. You still feel the collateral damage?
Yeah.
Will you take a minute to explain the traffic and just...
Well, if anybody ever watched NASCAR, last lap on turn 4, that's every day.
And not in one direction.
Not one direction. They're coming both ways. And we're sitting here. We're all bunched up. You look out the back and you see 4 wide coming at you, and you kind of turn. You see 3 wide coming at you the other way. And everything happens. No one wrecks. Well, we did have one little wreck. But everything just, and then motorcycles. So they're good drivers.
Motorcycles?
Motorcycles. They're good drivers.
The best way I can explain it is, every once in a while, if Jazz is driving and I'm in the passenger seat, men maybe, I don't know. If you've ever been in the passenger seat when someone turns into a spot that's tight and your whole torso just clenches up and you're going, whoa, 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 honey. Just a week long. Every part of me would cramp just being a passenger in one of these things.
And I don't know what I was going to say. Let's go. I love you. There's Edwin, right? Is his name? Edwin? This is Edwin. He was a helper in rec all week. Moise. This is at the construction site. These are just some kids that showed up because they saw a lot of Blancs. Let me tell you a really funny story. I think it was Friday while we were there. We had some candy left, and we were handing it out. And we're standing there in the middle of the street, and this little girl comes out of her house, and she's walking toward us. And I've got candy in my hand, and all of a sudden she sees there's a lot of Blancs standing there, right? There's a lot of white people standing there. And she turns around and starts to run the other direction. And I was waiting for her to get closer to get some candy, and I was like, come back! And so one of the guys sitting there yelled at her, and she came back, and I gave her candy, but it was pretty funny because we scared her to death.
Well, of course, she didn't speak English, so she's running away, and we're yelling at her.
Yeah. And you can kind of see beside these kids, that's some of the rock hill that we had to scoop and put in there. And the worst part about it is that gets really tight after it sits there in the Haitian sun for a while. So it takes some pickaxe and some real strength to get that to break down. Lisa and Serena.
will say that while we're watching this, I mean, that is one good worship moment, but for all of us, and I don't even mean for the church that we're helping out, just between us, there was just these amazing moments of worship where we're passing buckets and someone starts a song, and it's weird enough for these people to see a gaggle of white people working, which, you know, we're not as good as them at any of that, but to do it while we're worshiping and while we're smiling, it meant a lot to me. You know, Dave would start a song, or one of our interpreters would start a song in English, and they would harmonize, and I'm over there passing buckets going, just weeping over how beautiful the worship is while we're out there being obedient to the Lord.
Yeah, it's July 7th, Monday, the first day of our trip to Haiti. Not really knowing what to expect. The flight was good from Cincinnati to Atlanta, Atlanta to Haiti. Long trip, but it's still a good trip. But not really knowing what to expect when you get off the plane. It's tough. Riding in the tap, seeing already what these people go through. Unbelievable. And we haven't done anything yet. It's going to be an amazing week, and I can't wait. There's been a lot of stuff going on already it's amazing. Heartwarming. It's an experience.
So I hear Daniel laugh a second ago because he's trying not to cry. And Daniel and I, as we were working on this the other day in my office, we both were like, I thought we left some of these tears behind, but you know, it's there. Like, this emotion, and it is raw, and like I said, all of this is thanks to all of you that put money into this trip. So that was Monday. This is Tuesday. This is Rec on Tuesday. You can see this is a little girl at the construction site. More Rec. This is probably as we're getting ready to leave. Was this craft? This was crafts on Tuesday. This was a great craft. It was a banner, and there were tons and tons of stickers. So here's some of the pictures of those places that we were trying to tell you about. You can see it a little bit more clearly here. People live there. It's a much happier picture. There's the craft we made. Every single one of those is a different sticker. So they love that. This is music, I believe.
Yep.
That's self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
Some happy kids. This is a pig that was eating from wherever it could.
Let's talk about pigs.
Let's talk about pigs.
So all the trash that I'm talking about, you know, there would be areas where there would just be trash in standing water, right? There'd be the trash in a pile, and then the divot and whatever we're using for a road, whether it's gravel or just dirt most of the time. And their muddy trash water would just be collected on the side of the road. And then out of it would rise a pig. And the pig would proceed to walk over to the closest trash pile that is still smoldering from the fire from the day before, and eat from that trash pile. And then the next day we'd have bacon. And in my head I'm thinking, where has this bacon been? The whole time. And I don't look bacon in the mouth ever. I love bacon. But it makes you stop and think about how much, what the health concerns are where we're at.
This is another break at the construction site. We took lots of breaks, okay? And it's hard to take a picture while you're working.
Yes.
So that's why there are more pictures of us on break, because, I mean, when you're working, you can't be the guy with the camera out. Hold on a second. So here you can see the construction site. This is the second day. They've already finished all the walls, And then what they kind of do is they put some texture on the outside, for lack of a better word. So he's putting the texture on the outside here. I think there's a picture in a minute where they're doing it on the inside. This is just more of the houses. This is at the end of the day. Every day they did like a closing assembly at VBS. That's what you're looking at here. All the kids together. Somebody took a picture of me holding hands with this little girl because she didn't want me to leave. I rolled my sleeves up. I was trying to fix my farmer's tan. I don't think it worked. Just Serena playing. That's Samuel right there on the right. Samuel is the same kid. If you were here last year when we came back, Samuel is the same little kid that Sean was playing with the year before. He's not much bigger. Gabe taking a picture at the construction site while we were on break.
No food?
It's very rare that you see a picture of him without food. Oh, that's good. Don't go back. It's fine. This is where we were starting to fill up. Now you can see how high that is on the right of the picture. That's what we had already put in there. So you can see how high that was that we had to fill up. It was lots of fun. Just a little girl smiling, hoping for some candy. And this is Daniel. This was really authentic moment here. He's teaching some of the monitors, and I'll let you talk about this, Daniel, so you can get emotional.
Oh, okay. You're setting me up. So when there was a break, if you were teaching the lesson, there would be a break, for the rotation. So, we're working, these monitors are typically, they look like they're teenagers, but they're typically 22, 23 years old. They just look a lot younger. So we would have these monitors here. They're helping interpret. Some of them are being trained by one of the other interpreters. We had some of those students that are standing there. If you see the girl on my right with the braids, she actually ended up teaching or helping interpret for many of the lessons because she's learning from the guy that usually does it. So we've got these monitors that are helping just the same way we'd have teens help with VBS here, and they're all about that age, young adult, late teen. And at some point I grabbed one of them. I started joking around, acting like I didn't speak Creole, because I don't. And just playing with them and getting to know some of them. And at some point I sat down with one of them and I started to just talk about Scripture, talking about what we believe and what we're doing. And it was kind of like the magic trick. I had one, I looked away, and then there was that many. That was day one. I think, was that day one or day two?
It was your first day, and that was Tuesday.
Day one.
It was Tuesday, though.
Robinson, the interpreter, said, he stuck his head through the door and said, "Are you teaching?" I was like, yeah, kinda. And he goes out and goes, "Monitors, monitors!" And when I look up, there's all these kids. And I'm going to try not to break now, but the moment that broke me, and all I'm doing is just sharing my faith. That's all I came to do. One of the girls had asked, where are you staying while you're here in Haiti? So she asked the question, and Robinson, translates that for me. And I'm such a cynic, I'm so broken in so many ways. And my initial thought is, I've got to admit to this girl who's going to go home to nothing. I've got to admit that I'm staying in a place for Americans in Haiti with running water and Wi-Fi, and I'm choking on the words, like, well, compared to what I'm going back to resort, basically, compared to what you're used to. So I explained that we're staying at Belleflay, and he translated that. She had her exchange with him, and he turned to me and goes, "She's only asking because she wants to do this every day." And that got me. I think that part of the reason it speaks to me is you have to understand, are y'all laughing at me because I'm crying? Don't do that. The reason it hit me is that if you've known me, if you've spent enough time with me, I just love to do ministry. I just love to see what God does in people's lives. I'm addicted to it. I just love it. And I think that all of us as believers, ministers and congregation alike, we get stuck in this pattern of pigeonholing God into a building, into a time of the week, into a style of music, into the verses that we like and not so much the verses that we don't like, and being able to take what I know about the Father and go somewhere else and have him meet me there, ready to use me to minister, it's humbling. It's very humbling. So we were able to meet. It wasn't a part of VBS. It happened on, it was just God. And we did it the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And Friday, I think we had 10, 11, 12 kids from that group that you're looking at get on their knees and give their lives over to Christ.
Hello, everyone. Day 3 in Haiti. It was a pretty good day, I have to say. Pretty proud of Tony, my husband, walking around, taking pictures today, and seeing him in the lesson room, teaching to all these kids, keeping their attention, and of course with Robertson's help, which is a very good interpreter and who puts into action all the words to translate for the kids. And today we done banners and crafts, and the kids really, really melt your heart. They'll grab a hold of you and just look up and smile at you, or they try to get your attention just for you to look at them and give them a smile. It really, really melts your heart. In the same way, it breaks your heart in a way, but it's a wonderful experience. The work day, yes, it's hot. It's really hot, but it's fulfilling too as well. But when it comes to the kids, I think it's more fulfilling with the kids than it is for the work site, because when you get to the work site, you look up and you see a hillside, and that hillside is full of tarps, plastic sheeting held up by sticks or whatever they can get to hold up their security for their home. And that's devastating to see that they have no shelter hardly whatsoever. And this whole hillside, I can't estimate how long it is. I'm horrible at that, but it's a pretty long way to see up on a hillside of nothing but garbage and tarps, sheets, whatever you can get to get some kind of shelter. But overall, it's been a great day. Heart is filled with joy, and if anybody ever gets a chance to do it, they need to do it. And believe me, it brings you closer to yourself, to God, and makes you put into check of what you are supposed to be doing. So, thank you for the trip. I hope you had a great day. I did. Thanks.
It was a powerful reminder at the end of the day. And let me just say, this year going was so much more gratifying for myself than the previous year, because there were so many of our people there, right? So it's my people that I get to watch do ministry. I get to watch have this growth. And Lisa's talking about Tony teaching. Let me just say, if you go with us next year, I am going to put you in places that you normally wouldn't go. I'm going to ask you to do things that you probably normally wouldn't do, because you're in a spot that it's okay, right? Because even if you mess up, you just get to go home and nobody's going to remember it anyway. But I was so grateful that everyone that I asked to do something that was way, way outside of their comfort zone, they just stepped up.
Gabe, you want to share on that? You want to share on that?
So it was a lot like Daniel's rec experience. Okay, well, this is what we're going to do. Show me where the material is, right? Adam had selected me to teach a story from the Bible on
You're
Friday.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. And I was like, okay, I can do that. Went to Catholic high school. Kind of never looked at Scripture in the aspect to teach it, right? And get to the trip, I start talking to him. Okay, where's the material? And he goes, "There's no material. Hey, here, this is your material. It's the Bible, right?" So, so I say, okay, all right, game on. And I had the Book of Daniel, and there's so many powerful messages in that, and to go through it in a sense to try to tell these 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds what the message was about, it challenged me. I think that it really opened me up more to the Word of God, and the meanings behind it. I was joking in devotion. I said, "Hey, this book's kind of all right. There's some good stuff in it." But it kind of recentered me a little bit. I pushed it away after high school, and kind of getting back into this experience and being really required to do it. I could have said no thanks, but that's not why I was there. And I took that challenge to really open myself up to the message as much as I could open myself up to teaching that message.
There's something valuable about being vulnerable. And, when we talk about how much we experience, we are so vulnerable just leaving our homes, leaving what we know, being in a place where we don't speak the language, and then being asked to do things that we typically don't do. And a lot of what we experienced was due to the vulnerability that we were opening ourselves up to.
Wednesday, that's Tuesday still. It's in the wrong spot. Here's more. There's Tony, and he's filling that room up. I think this was Wednesday. We played with this huge parachute Wednesday. This is where Lisa was trying to teach the girls hopscotch, right? This was great. They'd never played hopscotch before, and it was fun to watch them learn hopscotch. This is a guy at Repatriate. This is Daniel teaching on Wednesday, much the same as the day prior. This is Tuesday. These pictures are all out of whack. This is Tony teaching Tuesday. More of it. You can see at the top of that, you can see where they're putting the texture on the outside of that building. Scotty's wore out.
That's what Scotty did the whole time while Gabe was eating.
This is music Wednesday. Serena with Samuel. More working. And there you can really see where they're adding the texture to the wall. More music. This was in Bible verse, memory verse, music. People getting their hair braided.
White men getting their hair braided.
Well, I just said people. I didn't want to.
Well, I wanted to point that out.
You wanted to go in on it, right?
None of our girls got anything braided.
This is a music. This is taking a break. You can see inside we're trying to hide in the shade, I think, right? Just what little bit of shade you can find.
That's right.
There we go.
Wednesday night, this man next to me gave his life up to Christ and was baptized 5 minutes later in that pool. And for those of you that know Anderson, can we get him a mic real quick? For those of you that know Anderson, I've maybe have spent 7 hours with this kid over the last year and a half that I've been here. I maybe collectively, maybe 7 hours. Whereas with a lot of students that attend, I have so much time with them. And I remember thinking a year and a half ago when I first met him, God's going to get this kid. God's going to get this kid. He's going to get worn out. And my prayer is that I'm going to be there. And I was, and it was just a really awesome experience. Can you share kind of what you went through that from Monday to Wednesday that kind of led you there?
So we got there on Sunday, and like everyone here said, that it was just so hard for me to take in. Just going from America to a third world country, and just trash lined everywhere. I was just trying to walk to the truck so I could get to the hotel, and I had everyone around me wanting to carry my bags just so they could take a couple bucks out of my pocket. They struggled so much, but then when we got to the Repatriate where we did VBS, and I met Jimmy, and he was doing rec, and you know, the first day he was talking about how much joy that the kids brought him, and how happy he was that God had put him where he was, just so that he could just bring other people to Christ. And then as the week went on, I got closer and closer with Jimmy, and on Tuesday and Wednesday, we were watching Chris get his hair braided by Jimmy's girlfriend. And he's talking about how much he loves her, and just how happy he is that Christ put her in his life. And I could not stop thinking about home and my girlfriend at the time, and just made me so happy to see that through everything that he lives through, he's still just so happy to be alive and thankful for everything that he has each and every day. And it just made me want to strive to live more like Jimmy, live more like that every day. And I got to talking to Daniel about it, and just later that night I was being baptized in that pool. It was pretty amazing. I'll be honest with you guys, I did not want to go to Haiti at all. Not at all, not one bit. But I could not be more thankful that I did.
Amen.
I'm really happy I did.
I think, you know, the gratification for me, and I kind of shared this during a devotional, I think if you're not a pastor, if you're not in ministry, then, you know, when you see a pastor baptize someone, you think that it's gratifying for the pastor because they got something done. Hey, finally you got that kid baptized, that's great. But it really is, being in the baptismal pool, baptizing someone it's like sharing a birth. And being a part of that, you know, and him communicating to me one day how he's so unlike Jimmy, how he has so little passion for his own life, and, you know, so little confidence in what he believes, and for him to get saved, baptized, and then the next day he stood next to me while I taught those group of monitors, all those teens, and just with tears in his eyes, just expressing what God had done. Guys, that's the pattern. That's the template we've been given, right? Find the Lord, get the salvation, get the healing, witness, worship. And I mean, Anderson was just put through a gauntlet this past week. And the only reason so many of us go to church and we get saved because the person next to us is going forward, or because we're 4 years old and we're told that's what we're supposed to do. And for him to be in that position where he knew death in his life, and now for the first time he knows life in his life, and for him to use that to reach someone else, and for that to end with over a dozen kids coming and kneeling at the feet of the cross, I mean, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And now we're in this place, and I want you guys to understand where we're all at right now. We are all at the point where the emotion of being there is starting to fade, right? The impression of Haiti and everything that happened is starting to dwindle, and we're all back to the distractions and all of that good stuff. So, I mean, Anderson is doing life with me over the next month. I mean, he's going on errands with me. We're doing Bible study together, and it's so amazing what happens when we step out in obedience.
I love, since we've been sitting here the whole time, I've looked over at Andy, and Andy has been, you can see on his face, he's so afraid we're going to do something to make him cry.
Because that's all he did for a straight week. And and none of the Haitian children had any context. I mean, they look at Jimmy, he's crying, or they look at Andy, and he's crying all the time. They're like, what's wrong with that kid?
So I was doing recreation on Monday and got playing with a boy named Edwin, and kind of passed the time with him as we were dealing with transitions and stuff. He was the helper for the whole time. And he and I got to know each other a little bit, but at one point he asked me, do I believe in God and why? And I came up with a complicated answer, more of a I believe and I know it in my heart and I feel it, but I couldn't have simplified it as much as Edwin had. And Edwin said he believes in God because God takes him to school, and God takes him to church, and God takes him home, and God takes him wherever he goes. And I thought that was such a simple explanation, but a profound answer, coming from a little boy that I had just met. And it really hit me to my core on how easily it can be explained and felt when we try to complicate things the older that we get and then the more that we think we understand. So just a profound moment, outstanding young man, and I'm really looking forward to hanging out with him the rest of this week.
We've got more pictures and more videos, pretty much all the same thing over and over and over again. I'm going to stop here for a minute. If the worship team would come, I want you guys to worship with us today. We've got a song picked out, and I'd like for you guys to worship with us because we're in this place where, like, we know, you guys can go sit down, except for Andy, I want you to stay up here. You guys can, we're in this place where our hearts have been touched and moved, and we want nothing more than to give God everything that we have. And as Daniel was saying, it's real easy to kind of get out of that place. It's really easy to come back and to get right back into your normal routine and to get out of that place. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen for any of us. I want us to not go back to the way that it used to be. I don't want to keep just doing the same old thing. But I want what happened in Haiti to move our lives. And before we go on, we're going back next year. Tentatively, we should be going probably the 19th through the 26th of July. You should probably try to find a way to make it happen now. Go ahead and start planning some vacation, plan your life around that, because I'm telling you, it can change your life. So these guys are going to sing. Go ahead and start playing there, Mike. These guys are going to sing. If you'll stand with me, I want to invite you to enter into his presence right now. We come this morning, and some of you came and you've got some stuff that's weighing you down. And what this song is going to talk about is it's going to talk about how God can break every chain in your life. Whatever it is that you've been holding on to, whatever it is that's holding you back, God can break every chain. So these aren't just words that we sing. These are things that we feel. These are things that we declare as truth. So as they begin to sing, I just want to invite you to worship with us. Go ahead, guys.